What makes someone a consistent winner, not just once, but again and again? Is it talent? Is it mindset? Or is there something deeper going on, something wired into how we think, act, and react under pressure? And if there is a pattern, can it be learned? Let's drop into something real. Picture two people standing at the start line. Same skills, same background, same opportunity, but only one of them keeps showing up at the top. Why? That's what we're digging into today, the psychology of winning. And a lot of what you're about to hear is inspired by the legendary work of Dennis Waitley, whose book, The Psychology of Winning, broke down winning not as luck or magic, but as a set of behaviors and beliefs. It's less about being born with something and more about how you train your mind. So let's open in mid-action. Think about this moment. You've just failed publicly, maybe even painfully. Your brain is doing backflips, your chest is tight, and self-doubt starts to creep in. But this is exactly where winning starts, not when things go right, but when they don't. Because a key part of winning isn't avoiding failure, it's how you respond to it. Winners, psychologically, see failure differently. Where most of us feel embarrassment, they feel information. It's not personal, it's directional. And this isn't just feel-good advice, it's backed by science. Studies in cognitive psychology show that people who develop what's called a growth mindset, the belief that abilities can be developed, are more likely to persist, improve, and ultimately succeed. But here's the catch, it's not about repeating motivational quotes in the mirror. It's about training your internal dialogue to sound more like a coach than a critic. And over time, that voice shapes your identity. So winning actually starts with self-image. Not ego, not arrogance, but a deep-rooted belief that you are capable, not guaranteed, but capable. Dennis Waitley calls this positive self-expectancy. It's not delusion, it's a psychological tool. Because when you expect to win, your actions start lining up to support that expectation. You prepare better. You recover faster. You show up differently. But let's push this a bit further. If mindset is one part of the puzzle, what else separates winners from everyone else? So if mindset is the starting point, what's next? What takes that self-belief and turns it into real-world results? The answer lies in habits of thought and action, patterns that winners repeat so often they become automatic. And here's the kicker, these habits aren't loud or flashy. They're usually invisible. You won't see them on a highlight reel, but they quietly shape everything. One of the biggest is something Dennis Waitley called responsibility. Not responsibility, but the ability to respond. Winners don't waste time blaming circumstances or other people or bad luck. They zero in on one thing, what can I control right now? And this mindset shifts everything. Because the moment you take ownership of your response, you're no longer helpless. You're back in the driver's seat, no matter how messed up the road looks. Psychologically, this taps into something called the locus of control. People with an internal locus believe that their actions affect outcomes. People with an external locus believe outcomes are mostly shaped by forces outside their control. And guess who performs better under stress, solves problems faster, and shows more resilience? Yep, the internals. Not because they're always right, but because they're always engaged. Physically, there's something else going on too. Winners tend to stay calmer under pressure, not because they don't feel stress, but because they've trained themselves to focus their attention. In high-performance psychology, this is called selective attention, the ability to ignore noise and lock onto what actually matters. It's like zooming in during chaos. And you can see this in sports, in business, in life. The best performers don't react wildly, they respond deliberately. But here's the cool part, this kind of focus isn't a talent, it's a skill. One that's developed by repeatedly placing yourself in challenging situations and learning to breathe, reset, and choose wisely. Over time, the brain adapts. Neural pathways strengthen. You become the kind of person who can perform, even when things go sideways. Socially, winners also do one more thing differently. They don't surround themselves with just cheerleaders, they choose challengers. People who hold them accountable, who ask uncomfortable questions, who sharpen them. That friction is not ego-crushing, it's growth-fueling. And all of this starts building a certain rhythm, a way of moving through the world that's calm, confident, and intentional. But there's still one big piece missing. Because even with the right mindset and focus, there's something else that elevates winners into a different category. And that part, that's the secret ingredient we'll unlock next. Alright, mindset's in place. Responsibility is active. Focus is locked in. So what's left? What's that invisible edge that winners seem to have even when the playing field looks level? It's vision. Not the motivational poster kind, but a clear, internal picture of who they are becoming and where they are headed. And here's the twist, they feel that future like it's already real. Dennis Waitley called this the theater of the mind. It's one of the most powerful psychological tools any high performer uses, and it's not woo-woo. It's grounded in neuroscience. When you vividly imagine yourself succeeding, handling pressure, crossing the finish line, your brain activates many of the same regions it would if you were actually doing it. That's right, mental rehearsal literally wires the brain for real performance. In one study, basketball players who only practiced in their minds, imagining every detail, improved almost as much as those who physically practiced. That's how powerful it is. Winners rehearse before they arrive. They show up to moments that already feel familiar because they've already lived them mentally. But it's not just about visualization. It's also about emotional rehearsal. They don't just see the goal, they feel the weight of it. They connect the outcome to something personal, family, purpose, legacy, even healing. That emotional charge? That's the fuel. It's what makes hard things worth doing. Now, here's where most people stop. They say, just visualize success and it'll happen. But winners know better. Visualization without preparation is just daydreaming. The reason their mental imagery works is because they back it up with action, repetition, systems. They align their habits to match their vision. That's what separates dreamers from doers. So let's put this together. A winner isn't someone who gets lucky. A winner is someone who builds their mindset, responds with control, focuses under pressure, and then rehearses their future so clearly that when it arrives, they're already home. But we're not done yet. Because there's one last part to this, maybe the most surprising. It's not about drive or discipline. It's about something even more human. Winning isn't just about mindset, focus, or vision. It's about resilience. The ability to keep showing up even when things don't go your way. Because the truth is, even the best lose. Even the strongest break. The real question is, what happens after? Dennis Waitley put it simply, winners bounce back. But not blindly. They reflect, learn, and reset. They don't attach their worth to one outcome. Instead of thinking, I failed, they think, that strategy failed. That separation sounds small, but it's massive. Because when your identity isn't tied to your mistakes, you're free to grow from them. This ties into a powerful psychological concept called self-efficacy, your belief that you can influence outcomes. People with high self-efficacy don't crumble under pressure. They adjust. They adapt. They stay in motion. And that's not magic, it's built through small wins, honest feedback, and showing up consistently. Winners also manage to stay human in the process. They're competitive, sure, but they're also reflective. They care. They connect. They know success isn't just about outpacing others, but about outgrowing your past self. And that often means helping others grow too. There's strength in that generosity. Confidence without ego. So in the end, the psychology of winning isn't some mystery. It's a set of inner habits, belief, clarity, control, and resilience. It's not about being flawless. It's about building a version of you that keeps going, keeps learning, and keeps rising. And maybe the real win is not the prize. It's becoming the kind of person who doesn't need one to feel complete. So, what would happen if you started thinking like a winner before you ever crossed the finish line?